want me to coach you, book a consult with me, go to my website in the description and everything that I'm associated with. So I would recommend you start off doing rack pulls if you can't do a deadlift. The reason for rack pulls is because, yes, it's easier, but it sets your range of motion a lot shorter. That's not necessarily a good thing, but I would recommend rack pulls if you can't do a deadlift. We definitely don't want you to get injured, so I would recommend starting off with rack pulls to get into the deadlift. Now you're going to want to start with your hands just a little bit wider than shoulder width. Now there's a knurling on the bar. You're going to want to, for most people, take about a thumb's length from the inner part of the knurling, if that makes sense. Most of the time, I would just grab the bar where it's most comfortable for you. This is going to be different for everyone. I would recommend grabbing the bar a little bit wider than shoulder width. So maybe like a hand's length away from your legs for the conventional deadlift. And for the sumo deadlift, I would definitely play around with the grip on that because I've definitely noticed different results from different grips. Although I like having my grip a little bit closer in. But if you like it a little bit further out, then definitely go for that grip width, wherever it's most comfortable for you. I don't think it really matters that much. It's not rocket science, but you want to have that right groove, right? That right groove where you just feel good. You feel comfortable in this position. And your feet are going to be shoulder width, obviously, for conventional deadlift. And for sumo deadlift, your feet are going to be super wide. How wide you can go will depend on how good your mobility is. To get a little bit better range of motion, you could do side squats or side steps or anything that mobilizes the hip capsule. Basic stretching definitely works, but you can use bands to make this a lot more effective, and it would be a lot easier to use bands to allow you to get a little bit wider stance. Just choose a stance where your hips are comfortable. The sumo deadlift is definitely what I would prefer, but if you don't feel comfortable in the sumo deadlift, I wouldn't do that. I would just do the conventional deadlift or stick to rack pulls. To be as safe as possible, we're going to pull the shoulder blades back on either deadlift. So this is like any exercise unless it's the tricep extensions. Those are like pretty much the only times where you could potentially be an internal rotation. An external rotation is when you're pulling the shoulder blades back. And when you pull your rear delt and your shoulder blades back, you are creating tension. And when your hands are in the right spot and you're kind of pulling the slack out of the bar, I don't really know how to describe that, but when you pull your shoulder blades back and you just give a little bit of tension, like just break off the floor just a little bit, that's going to create a lot of torque, and that's going to create the correct starting position so you can lift the maximum amount of weight on the deadlift. And the deadlift is something that I think most people can lift the most amount of weight on, and it's going to be the most taxing exercise as well. So you definitely want to be safe in the entire range of this type of position. So when you're pulling your shoulder blades back and you're thinking about, I know some people like to visualize pushing the floor away from them, kind of like a leg press. I don't really know if that helps or not, but when you're in the sumo position, you're having like more of a hip thrust motion at the end of the movement. So the sumo is going to be more hips, and it's going to be easier on your back if you do it correctly. With the conventional, it's going to be more taxing on your lower lumbar, your lower back, potentially have more quad activation. Although I personally feel the conventional deadlift in my low back and my lats. That's just me personally, but I know a lot of people think that the conventional deadlift is better, and it might be, but I prefer doing sumo deadlift, so I'm teaching you both ways on how to do the deadlift. So that's pretty much it. We've got your hand position, choosing the right hand position for you, and if you are not strong enough yet to do the deadlift, either the conventional or sumo, I would do rack pulls, and then you are going to pull or push the weight away from you, push the floor away from you. Although that's not the best analogy, you're going to want to pull your shoulder blades back as far as possible. Not like to the point where you're just like pinching the shoulder blades back. You want to just have enough tension to where you're in external rotation and where you're going to be in the safest position for this movement. And then we're going to break it off the floor and pull and get strong. And the deadlift is my favorite exercise. I hope this tutorial helped in some way, help you understand the movement and how to do it safely. You don't want to round your back ever, but if you pull your shoulder blades back and your hips are set back, not like super far to where you fall over, but you want to have your hips back far enough to where when you're pulling the weight, it's like mostly over the center of your foot. So not too far forward and not too far backwards to where you risk falling over. You just want to have your hips in that groove per se, so you can safely lift the weight and build muscle and do the deadlift in the most effective way. I hope this helped. If you like this video, like it. If you want me to coach you, book a consult with me, go to my website in the description, and everything that I'm associated with is in the description. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time.